So let me explain a little bit about what I'm looking for. What I want you to do is you go into the Kevin W. Tharp site and you go into the lessons. In the first set of lessons there, you've got this understanding the CSS. And what we're going to do in this lab is you're going to create a base page or a foundational page that will be the home page of the Cascade directory that you've created on the lessons. And then what you're going to do is you're going to build upon that page sort of in layers. And each time you add a layer, you're going to save that page with as a separate page, so that you'll have a series of pages where you go from the first page will just show what the content looks like as the default, so what the browsers show. The second page will show what it looks like when you add an external style sheet. The first external style sheet that you're going to add is a reset style sheet, and what a reset style sheet does is it applies a set of rules that clear out the defaults that the browsers use. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to add a style sheet, and you'll call it base.css, and you're going to apply just some basic rules to the page that you're doing. Like you might give font size to the different heading level 1 through 6. You might give background color, whatever it is you want to do, but you're adding that and you're creating that as a base.css. So on that page, you'll have both the reset style sheet set in the code, and then you'll have the base style sheet set below that. So inside of the code, you'll have both the reset first and then the base style sheet attached. And you can look at the code behind the pages up here to see how I did that in this site. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to create an additional style sheet that has embedded styles, and then you're going to, for the final one, you're going to do inline. So as I walk through this website, I'll talk you through what I'm hoping to see you do. And the goal of what this is going to do is to establish an understanding and have you interact with all the different levels of style sheets that you're going to encounter, so that you understand better how to use style sheets at different levels depending upon what you're trying to do. So the first thing we're going to look at is the presentation using the browser's default attributes. So this page is the code that I gave you in the directions for this lab is going to produce this. You won't have the image at the top and you won't have the navigation over here. What you're going to do in this navigation is you're going to put hyperlinks there to the different pages you do as part of this lab. Okay, so this one is just the default style sheet, and in my case I've put directions in here that help you to better understand the style. So now the second page that you're going to need to do is a reset. It's a style sheet that has a reset, and if you notice that all those things that normally are set by the browser, like the heading 1, the way that my browser does it, it takes away all those properties. So that's the purpose of the reset style sheet, and you could access that reset style sheet right here and use that same exact style sheet. So just save it as a style sheet in your site and attach it as a attached style sheet. Going into the code here, I'm going to go view the page source, and I'll show you what that looks like. So when I've attached that reset style sheet, I've put the reset style sheet in a folder called CSS, and the file is called reset.css. So that is an external style sheet in the form of the reset style sheet that gets rid of all that native code that comes as the default with the browser. Okay, so you've now got the external reset style sheet on this page. You're going to create another page that you can use the exact same code. You can save it as a different name. Only this time what you're going to do, and you can see in this snippet window here, that what I've done is I've taken the code and put it in these little sort of tan colored windows so that you can see what I've done differently in this particular page. So I've added a style sheet called base.css and applied a set of rules to that. So if I again go in and look at the code here, and I view the page source, you'll see in this particular one we've got the CSS reset and the CSS base. And you can actually go in here and view what that base style sheet is. And in my case, I've set rules for the aside, main body, code, H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've set different font sizes in here for that. And that's the main thing that I've adjusted in this. I've given it that background color. But for the purposes for you to see this, you should just probably, to keep it manageable, change the different H1s so that you can visually see the difference. Now we're going to start using a lot of commenting in this class, and you'll see that right there where I have gone through and created a comment in my CSS document. And what that'll do is allow you to better understand your own code, and it'll allow other people to understand your code better. So we're going to be using comments both in the CSS documents and in the HTML documents as we go forward. So that's the base CSS that sets up the background color of blue for the page, sets up the tan in this aside box, and it sets up these heading levels. And you'll notice that the unordered lists and all that I haven't changed. The hyperlinks I haven't changed. So that's the next level. Once you have that, we're going to go an additional level, and what we're going to do is we're going to do embedded or internal styles. So what I've done here, and again you can look in the snippet code, in the first document I added a reset style sheet. In the second one I added to that reset a base. In the third one I'm adding an embedded code which sits in the style section up in the head portion of the page, and what I did is I gave the H1 a color of #600, which is this sort of reddish color that we're seeing right here. And you'll notice that that applies to all of the H1s in the page. So we're going to go one more level, and we're going to do compound selectors. And that gives you a greater level of control, so that in this page I've gone from, I still have the H1 that has the color of 600, but what I've done is in the div of main body H1, I've given this a compound selector that says when I'm looking at the main body and there's an H1 in it, so there's an H1 inside the div of main body, then the color is going to be this blue. So that's why you've got the blues up here. Because those are in the main body. But when you see the H1 up here at the top of the page, that's not inside the div of main body. So that still applies this rule, but because this information down here sits inside of the div called main body, then they have the rule applying it to the blue. So that's a compound selector where you can get more specific about how you apply specific rules. And then we go even one step further. And what I've done in the code is over here for heading 2, I've added this span, which is an inline code, which allows just those 3 letters right there to be green, which is again applied up here. I gave those a class of sample class for just that portion of the section, and in the style sheet, the embedded style sheet, I put for the class of sample class, apply the color of whatever that green is right there. And that walks you through the entire cascade, where you start with the default, you go to an external style sheet, which is a reset style sheet. You add an additional style sheet that's external, which is the base, and then you add embedded styles, inline styles, and compound styles. And that brings you through all the different layers of the cascade And then what I want you to do on that first page that you've done, which is the default style sheet page, the first one that you've done, I would like you to create navigation that links to the page that has your reset style sheet, the page that has your external and base, the page where you did the embedded, the page where you did the inline, and the page where you did the compound, so that I can look and see that you've made your way through and done all of them.